Yes, all right, here we go.
All right, excellent.
Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, Niema cannot be here with us tonight. She got called away on some type of assignment dealing with covert ops in Russia, so who knows? She'll be back when she's back, and good luck to her on her mission. So, as you guys know, if I'm live, I'm never alone, and tonight is no exception. So, let's get down to it and introduce our guests. Okay, so most people know I'm a gentleman, and because of that, I'm going to introduce the lady first. And you
Thank you.
guys, you messed up my intro. And in this case, the lady joining us tonight is originally a West Coaster, and I already called her a traitor because she is. She's a traitor, and now on the East Coast. And get this, she has a background in forensic anthropology. You know what that means? It means she's intelligent and observant. Not to mention, she's taking steps, more like leaps, into becoming quite the witch. She is an intuitive empath who uses said abilities when doing magic involving candles and performing tarot readings. Please welcome the first half of the Wizard's Table, Mistress B.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Mistress B. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad at all. And let's introduce your co-host here, or is he the main host? It doesn't matter because you're both
It
equal.
doesn't matter. We handle it equally.
So the second half of the witch's table is a man with decades of experience, even though he doesn't look a day over 20. But believe me, he has experience. He knows his mess. And when it comes to the paranormal and supernatural, if you have a problem, he is the man that you call. He can be somewhat considered an 80s action hero with the attitude of getting the job done by any means necessary in any way possible. So, even though he doesn't use guns and grenades and all that things and stuff that goes boom, he does have the tools to perform chaos magic, voodoo, hoodoo, and other types of rituals, even if it involves evoking demons. Ooh. So, please welcome the man himself, also known as I'm going to butcher this name, but the, there it is, Muskogee Magi, Ken Allen.
Thank you, Melvin. You didn't butcher it at all. You said it the right way. Yeah, that's me, I guess. Man, you know a lot more about me than I thought. Holy shit.
No,
Thank you.
no.
Thank you for having us on, Melvin. Seriously. Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming on, and sorry about the tech issues, guys, but we have it fixed and settled, and I think it was because of Ken, actually. So we're live, we're here, and we're doing this thing. Okay, so you guys we're just gonna jump right into it. And how long have you two known each other first?
Girl, how long has it been now?
3 years about,
Yeah. Yeah, about
because
3 years.
yeah, it's coming up on 3 years because that's how long Gage and I have been together.
Yeah. Boy, time goes by quick, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
So, whose idea was the wizard's table?
Um, it was my idea, and the name came to me. There wasn't any kind of great epiphany or grand vision or anything like that. The name just hit me, the Wizard's Table. And I'm like, wow, I really like that name, the Wizard's Table. That's cool as shit. Let's do something with that. What the hell?
So,
Let's do a podcast. Why not? Okay, fine. That's
it's a good
cool. So I
name.
talk to myself. I talk to myself all the time and I answer myself quite a bit. I'm very clinical in that way. And so I contacted Mistress B, and talk to her about being the co-host. So
Okay, so Mistress B, what did you say when Ken called you up and said, "Hey, I'm gonna do this thing, and I kind of want you in here." What do you say?
Well, originally, he didn't tell me that I was going to be a co host. He asked me to help him set up a podcast, and I was like, absolutely. So I got to work and I designed the logo and I figured out what other podcasters were using, and I got the software together and I set up all the social media accounts, and I was just going to help from behind the scenes. And then he started telling people that we were going to do it together. I was like, okay, I guess I'm a co host now.
So he
yeah,
literally just threw you in like, "Nope, you're in, done, no
Yeah,
arguing."
basically.
yeah, ball and chain and everything. So here she
Uh,
is.
Funnily enough, that's actually a little bit on how Unexplained got started. Just real quick, my first co-host, Rose, oh gosh, so many years ago now, she wanted to do something and she said, "Okay, Melvin, we're doing it." I was like, "What? Do I have a say in this?" No. Just figure out how to do it. So, but unfortunately, she's no longer with Unexplained. She became a mom. It happens.
Yeah.
So,
Happens to the best of us.
but yeah. So the world of podcasting, how do you like it?
It's definitely interesting. It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I think that I had a little bit of anxiety going into it because I listen to a lot of podcasts and I'm overwhelmed at some of the production value and the time that goes into it. And I was really nervous about all the software and how to get it onto all the different platforms. But now that I'm into it, it's a lot more fun. And I think, if we continue this on, which we don't have plans to stop, but if we continue this on through the years, I'll be able to learn and grow with the podcast and just continue to make it better as much as I can.
Okay. What
Yeah,
about you?
she's really good. She is amazing. She's phenomenal at what she does, and I love doing it. Uh, it- I don't know. The first one we ever did, yeah, my nerves were, my mind and my nerves were mixed. But the more we do, the more relaxed I am, and I try to keep it real. I don't give a shit. I say whatever I want. I do whatever I want. You know, I just say what's on
Yeah.
my mind. I just let it happen.
Well,
So
the FCC can't regulate you, so
right.
um,
Yeah, yeah, Melvin, I actually used to do commercial radio, so I know about the FCC. So it's such a relief.
and who was your first guest? Was it Patty Negri?
No, it was Wizard Pharaoh. Wizard
Okay.
Pharaoh. Wizard Pharaoh, who is in Australia, an amazing, amazing guy, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and very, very well versed in a great deal of different modalities of magic, including goetic magic and things like that. So,
Okay. So, I tell everyone like the first episode always sucks, like no matter what. I haven't seen that one. I think I skipped it by accident. But for you, how did you feel doing it? How did you guys feel once you started to get things rolling after that initial nervousness?
It feels natural. Ken and I have a really, really strong bond. We've had it since the first day we met, I'd like to think. And so for us to work in a partnership is really easy because we play off of each other. Sometimes we know what the other person is thinking or where the other person kind of wants to go without communicating. So it feels really, really natural to have the both of us on there. And our scopes as far as magic goes are so different that me being a relative beginner and him being an expert, that there's a really good crossover in that he has pointed questions and I have some of those general questions that the viewers at home will have. So it's a really nice way of people in any steps of their practice to follow along.
Okay, and that is actually going to take us somewhere because I've heard. I'm trying to think. Was it who was it with? Well, anyway, Mistress B, I heard you say that when Ken says something, you listen. Like you just listen, and evidently, that clearly it comes from you observing or experience something that he had to help with and all of that. So is Ken a mentor for you while you're going down this path of magic?
I would definitely say so. Ken has an incredible wealth of knowledge in a large variety of areas. And while our two magical paths don't always completely line up, like I don't think I'm ever going to summon a demon. He might have other plans for me, but it's not something that I'm anxious to pursue. But there's still so much that I can learn from him. And so I'm constantly just trying to draw upon his expertise at any given point. He's like a library.
Okay, and the oh gosh, I'm so bad with names. The Muskogee Magi. There we go.
Yes.
That title, can you tell us about it?
Okay, so I don't think a lot of people know this, but I'm actually what's called a Miko, Meeko. It's spelled many different ways. A Muskogee Miko is a Muskogee Creek chief, but its true translation is king. I have a tribal grounds. I have a tribal community where we do, unfortunately, we haven't been able to because of the coronavirus, but we do 4 primary ceremonies a year. Muskogee Creek ceremonies, extremely traditional. Um, Sweat lodge, drinking sacred medicines such as yopon and willow root, and bloodletting using a gar jaw, the teeth. There's reasons for that. It's all extremely spiritual. Conjuring sacred fires, talking to the spirits of the 4 directions, calling on the creator whose name is Asaka Demisi. Now, I spent 7 years apprenticing under my Miko, who was a Miko, and he was what's called a Hilis Haya. A Hilis Haya is a man of medicine or a medicine man. So I spent 7 years not only as his vice chief, but apprenticing under him. And I kind of sort of inherited that role, but was also elected into that position. So I've been doing that now for almost 8 years.
Wow. Now, does that conflict with some of the other magic that you do, or does it all work in unison?
For me in my private life, it all works great. It all works for me in unison. I would never influence what I do at my tribal grounds, what I do in my personal life. I would never influence anyone out there or anything we do out there. I keep that 100% pure, 100%. I would never influence that in any way, shape, or form. But in my private life, I do whatever the hell I want to do, baby.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just got to go wild and elbow drop some things and, have fun
Yeah.
with it. Now, this is something I was curious about, but how did you get into practicing, learning about voodoo and hoodoo?
You asking me? Okay. Well,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay. So my grandmother and my great grandmother on my mother's side were Sicilian, and they practiced Sicilian folk magic. A lot of Catholicism involved in that, like Catholic conjure type stuff. But that's really where I started understanding magic. And I was between the ages of 10 and 11. Magic, spirituality, I really started to come into it. But what got me involved in voodoo was the dreams where Papa Legba would show up 9 nights in a row, and I would keep log and record of that. And Papa Legba would tell me things, and so it moved from there. It was like Papa Legba is calling me, so I need to answer this. I need to answer the call.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially since he's at the crossroads and he already speaks every language in the world, and he's the one who opens the gates, opens or closes them. So, yeah, I guess if he's calling you, you listen.
Yeah, if Papa Legba knocks on the door, baby, you better answer.
Mr. Speed, what type of well, I mentioned the candle magic. Take us through that and perhaps some other types of sorcery, we'll say, that you perform or you're interested in.
Yeah, so basically, I work with a lot of different herbs, and I love color magic. I think that there's so much that can be expressed by colors. They can make you feel so many different emotions, and that and scents. And so it really drew me into candle magic because I've always loved candles, and I think that finding a way to incorporate things that you're already passionate about into your practice is only going to strengthen your practice. So the process of making a spell candle is really simple. You It's just like making any other candle. You just toss everything in, but everything has sort of a correlation. So if I'm making a self-love candle, I'm going to choose pinks. I'm going to choose a light purple. I might choose a blue because there are feelings of love and royalty and strength and calm. And I might choose a scent. Vanilla is something that has always been very calming to me, so I might scent part of it as vanilla and part of it as lavender. And then I may add in a ton of different stones, and all of the correlations of everything that's built up in there is going to go towards my goal. I actually have another little example. I like to do spell jars as well. So I have one here, and you can see all of the different layers. So there's all sorts of things in here. There's chamomile, there's jasmine, there's rose petals, there's salt, there's lavender. So it's just kind of finding the correlation and lining them all up into what you want it to be.
You know, this is probably resonating so hard with Angie right now because she does candle magic and she's been working on spell jars, oils, and things of that nature. And here, shameless plug. If you guys are interested in purchasing that, be sure to check out the Witch's Broomstick. That link is in the description below, and she will custom make anything for you. So, shameless plug over.
I love
But
the
no,
name.
that is so cool. Now you mentioned for self love, you mentioned pink candles, and I'm happy you said pink because I've recently learned like, yeah, you might not necessarily want to use red. Sometimes people are, you associate love with red, and it's like, nah, maybe if you want to get laid. I found out was like that's what you do it for. So that was interesting with the pink and let me ask you this, because my favorite color is crimson, the crimson version of red. What the heck does that say about me?
It says that you have a fire, that you have a passion, that you have a burning in your belly to do something, that you have an energy that will not be stifled.
Okay. And unfortunately, I'm a Taurus. So I'm lazy as sin. Great. So, but no, I love things like that. And um, how do you and Ken like? Actually, yeah, Ken, have you guys worked together on any cases or rituals, ceremonies?
Unfortunately, we have not yet. However, I have a strong feeling that's going to change relatively soon.
Uh oh. He's gonna
Yes.
make you summon a demon.
I wouldn't be surprised. But like I said, he's my version of Papa Legba. If he calls, I go.
Oh, Angie. I'm sorry. I just saw the chat popped up and she shut up, Angie. Um oh gosh. She said he's horny. So
Hey, it
I'm
plays into it.
Hey, sex magic is a powerful thing. It's very relevant and it works.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it on our podcast a lot, not just with partners or a partner or multiple partners, but also by yourself. Autoerotica.
It works really, really well when you're working on financial gain. Sex
I
magic
Yeah.
have
is
I
super
have heard
powerful.
that. I have heard that.
Hmm.
So, Mistress B, what led you down this path? I mean, you know, anthropology, occult. They they're,
Well,
they're a bit different.
they're actually not. I mean, anthropology is the study of humans and how they interact and how they grow and how they form cultures. And so I've always been really interested in learning everything there is to know about everything I can get my hands on, especially people, because no two people are alike and there isn't a formula for how everybody acts. And so it led me into a lot of cultures that kind of clashed with my traditional Christian upbringing. And there was a point at which I had to sit there and think to myself, okay, well, what makes my culture and my beliefs correct and this culture's wrong? So I started delving into other religions and other walks of life. And I eventually found myself on a path that just kind of is my own. I don't really follow anybody's anything. It's just if I find something and it resonates with me, I adopt it and it becomes part of my life.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And this is going to lead us into the next big thing. And this is something I think about a lot in regards to gods, goddesses, demons, angels, whatever, all that stuff. And let me ask you, Ken. We'll start off with you on this one. But are you a believer in a god or gods?
I am. Yes. Yes, I do
And
believe in. Yes.
of course you work with demons,
I work
now
with demons. Yes. Angels, the Lua, ancestors, whatever. Yeah.
where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So as you know, there's a huge misconception about demons, a very big one, and they were made to be the bad guy. um,
Absolutely.
I, I'm not saying that all of them are friendly, hug me, love me, but
No.
I like saying it like this: every story has a hero and a villain.
Hmm.
And if there is
Absolutely.
no villain, someone will become a villain. And
That's right.
unfortunately, thanks to, just power hungry men who use religion as a way of control and for politics, political gain, demons or daemons, they've become the villains. So, how do you explain to people that it's just not what it seems. It's more complicated than them being just this evil entity that wants to eat your heart.
Well, I mean, uh, first of all, from personal experience, I know that not all uh, demonic entities are evil, bloodthirsty. I want your virgins type of spirit. Okay, they're not. It's just that simple. Um, I know that from personal experience. I've worked with a lot of them, and a lot of them are very benevolent. I mean, yeah, benevolent, and the majority of them are benevolent. There's very few that is actually e- what you would consider to be evil. You look at history, the ancient Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Sumerians. Most of these entities, most of these beings, Orobos, Azazel, Baal, Belial, Beelzebub, et cetera, Moloch, whatever, were in fact ancient gods. They were ancient gods. They were not demons. And then when Christianity came around, even before that, organized religion in whatever form, monotheism really screwed that up. All your monotheistic religions have that concept of absolute good and absolute evil. I don't believe in absolute good and absolute evil.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in absolute good or evil myself, and
But most of
um,
these demons were actually um, ancient gods of a
gods.
civilization, be it Egypt, Sumerian, Babylonian, Phoenician, Akkadian, whatever.
Yeah, some were angels, like Asmodeus. He was an angel, and apparently he was a watcher. I
And not
think, and
only
he.
that, but Osmodeus was also a jinn. It's
So
also a
yeah,
jinn, you know.
so he's a little of everything. And I was actually thinking about this earlier today, and um, with the monotheism, I was thinking about how if we go back and again, this is I'm looking at it from another person who interpreted things. So people get things wrong all the time, but going by what their research is saying and they're teaching people, King Tut's alleged father, I cannot say his name, Akhenaton or something like that. He was erased mostly from history, and
Hmm.
he was one of the people who introduced monotheism to, of course, the Egyptians. And they didn't exactly take to it, but I'll never forget this. They said that he never claimed to be a god, and all pharaohs said, no, I'm a god. And he never claimed to be a god, and he said that he was the son of God, or he served the god, and it was the son himself, and the
Hmm.
son was this one god, and all others are just bleh, it's just me. And it got me thinking, like, oh wow, what an ego on you, buddy. And it and she said he's an alien, which we'll get to aliens in a second. Um, it makes me think, though, that perhaps, yeah, maybe it was one God. Maybe this world is governed, perhaps at one point it was divided by and governed by different entities, and maybe it was one entity who showed up and said, no, I'm in charge now. And perhaps this entity started off benevolent and actually had good intentions. But what if it took on too much energy, both positive and negative? And, as people, we can be very negative. And because of that, what's fed to it is fed back to us. And it creates a divide. And now the ego is growing or grew, and now of course we have confusion everywhere, and for the most part under the control of this entity, from a certain point of view. What do you guys think about that? Mistress B, you can start.
I think that there's so much that's wrapped up in that question. I think that if you're operating in a monotheistic lens and you adopt those beliefs, then we are built in the image of God. And it would make sense that even an all powerful entity would be confused because we feel confusion. I don't know if I believe in a monotheistic entity anymore. Um, just because the sheer force of it just blows my mind. And I've worked with one deity before, and so I know that there are deities out there. I don't know how it's all organized, that's up to them. But there's also this other theory that I have, that if there is one God, there's no reason why that one God can't be stepping into roles as other gods. Like when you're explaining something to a child, you break it down into smaller pieces. That's how a lot of myths and legends were born. You break it down into pieces that people can understand. You say, well, why does it rain? Because the rain god makes it rain. And so I have this theory that if there is one God, there's no saying that there might not also be these entities. It may just be that God acting in these smaller entities, breaking himself or herself or itself up into bite-sized chunks that humans can then process and understand and worship a little bit better. Because it's a lot easier to say, okay, well, I want rain, so I'm going to pray to the rain god, because it makes more logical sense. Does that make any
Yeah,
sort of
that
sense?
you just described Hinduism, because in Hindu it's supposed to be one god, and then it's split into the Trimurti, the three, Shiva, Vishnu, and Lord Brahma, and then after that it's all the other gods, and they're all incarnations of one giant entity and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense. Um,
It's all dissemination of knowledge.
yeah, essentially. Um, so Ken, I'm gonna try and trip you up. Yes, I'm gonna get you with the gotcha. I
Okay,
lied to you.
go ahead.
No, I am not. But me. So I have a weird thing. I'm not even gonna say it's weird. People take it the wrong way, but I do actually believe that we are gods. We are creators, and we are storytellers. We are weavers. I truly do believe this. So yes, I am a god. Bow down to me and give me money and food. Um, but we are living a physical life, and what do you think about that? The possibilities of us being like demons or angels or Zeus or Odin and all of them, but we're just having a physical life for whatever reason, and we are gods, or perhaps we can become gods. Do you think that's possible, or am I just speaking out of my butt? Or
No. You are making complete sense to me. I have often said, based on my experience with working with different, I'll say energies, different personalities of energy, that we are gods, but we just don't know it yet. We don't know it yet. So yeah, no, I completely understand exactly what you're saying. Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
Angie has a question for you. So she says that her stepdad is going down the healer path, brewing what tick tick tinctures? Oh God, again,
Tinctures.
herbs and
Tinctures.
all that stuff. He believes that magic and certain healing practices are location bound. Ooh, do you what do you say about that?
I think that in the past it could be location bound just because there are certain herbs and certain things that you need, and you get different types of storms, and storm water is a huge thing in magic. You get different types of river water, the salination, the soil is all different, that sort of thing. But I think that we're in such an age of instant gratification that location boundness doesn't apply to us anymore, because it doesn't matter what season it is anymore. It doesn't matter where I live. I can get anything. I can order water from the Dead Sea on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. So I think that because of our technological advances, we're breaking down things that were barriers in the past to magic.
Yeah, and I think the spirit of the place makes a difference too. It really does. The spirits of the place you are in. It's like, here we are. We're in North America. Okay, you want to do this, you want to do that. I don't care if you're Hellenistic, I don't care what you are, but you should really be honoring your local land spirits, whoever they, more than likely they're Native American spirits of your local area. You need to be honoring those spirits also, because it makes a difference. It really does.
All right. Well, that's the first time I heard that one, but it makes sense considering this is, well, I mean, she's in Slovakia, but we're here,
Right.
so
But
it
in
makes
her land, she has indigenous. There's indigenous magic and spirits there too. So
yeah. So and that was she just said that too, meaning certain magic works only for certain ancestry and locally. For example, we're Slavic descent, thus we should not use our God darn it, Angie, Arvida, but something local.
No, I think that you can
right,
adopt magic from other cultures, but
absolutely, you can.
you have to pay homage to what your
Hmm.
locality is. It's sort of like um it's sort of like ordering takeout food. Like you can order takeout food from any country across the globe, but you can't do so while putting down your local cuisine, because it's going to ruin your economy and it's rude.
Exactly, I agree 100%. Yeah, and
Oh, I feel bad
I
now.
want to make that clear. I just want to make that clear too. Yes, you can do this, you can practice that, you can follow any spiritual path that is going to resonate with you. But I'm just saying it's very important, especially if you're working outside, to honor those local land spirits.
Now, I guess in order to figure out what spirit might be there, you have to do research on the land and get that history and knowledge. So, in a way, that's a fun question. Oh, that's right up your alley, Mistress B, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Oh, and by the way, I want to say, a guy named Carol Polk Runyon. Carol Polk Runyon is one of the greatest goetic magicians in the world, and he is also an anthropologist. Check him out.
let me. Where's my pen? What spell that name for me?
Carol, Carol, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Carol Polk, Poke, Runyon, Run something, I don't know, Runyon. But anyway, Carol Polk Runyon, yes.
And Angie says thank you.
You're welcome, Angie.
Okay. where was I going to go with this? Oh, yes. So, oh, she said something. I'm on American Indian land. Oh, okay. So Jenny, hi Jenny. She's saying that she is on Native American land, and I won't say too much, but she's dealing with stuff. And she's handling it pretty good. I will say she has a lot of help from people who are in the occult, and they know what they're talking. They're not speaking out
Right.
their butts themselves.
Yeah.
So that's always a good thing, because unfortunately, it's just so many people out there who's like, oh yes, just do this and you'll be fine, and all of that. As a matter of fact, when I first saw you can and you Mistress B, it was on Ancestral Eyes, and it was a question brought up saying, like if you're dealing with some not so nice things and how you deal with it and how you get rid of it and whatnot. And you made a very interesting comment, which I agreed with 5 billion%, and that was, sometimes you don't want, if it's a demonic possession. I'm sorry, demons, I know I keep picking on you, but if it's a demonic possession, you don't really want to call someone and have them say, okay, angels, go in there and fight them. Like, no, get someone who actually works with demons, who communicates, who gets that, to get rid of it and figure out
Yes.
what's going on.
Yes.
Call his boss to kick him in the butt.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
remember that. I
You're
remember
not
that.
going to call a gardener to clean your kitchen.
I
no, and
remember I remember when we talked about that. Yes, you go to a higher level demon that's, that he is underneath, and you handle that shit that way.
yeah,
Yes.
and it stuck with me because that's how I've always felt. And I guess thanks to television and the media in general, we think call the church, and I got nothing against the archangels, but it just seems like it's a conflict of energy, and it just makes things harder. And that's going to bring me to this. I found out that there are different species, I guess you could say, of angels, so to speak. And ever since finding that out, it blew my mind because, I guess what happens is we group everything together, and we shouldn't do that. And I found out that, yeah, there are, of course, you have the Watchers who I suppose are no longer there. And then you have the Archangels, and then just say the Christian angels, and I found out that there are neutral angels that predates quite a few of them,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
one of them in particular, they've actually felt, a friend of mine felt his energy. Two people actually felt his energy, and they were a little freaked out by it because it was different. It wasn't, you know, light and love, but it wasn't like dark and heavy. It was literally neutral. And I want to ask, have you felt either of you, Mistress B or Ken, have you felt that type of energy before, to where it's just completely neutral?
I will say yes. Yes, I have, especially during an Enochian ceremony, working with archangels, and in ritualistic magic. Yes, I have ran into that kind of energy before, and I wasn't really surprised because prior to working with Enochian, I had worked with demons only. Most people start out before they work in the goetic or the demon work. They start out with working with archangels, the Enochian magic, and then they go into working with the goetic spirits, the demons, because they want to have that firm foundation of security, from the angels. That's the way it's traditionally done today. Anyway, I didn't do that shit, baby. I started out working with the hell first. Come on,
Well,
hell.
well, that's the thing too, though, because like I don't think they really like, from what I understand, like they don't. It's no war between factions. It's just they do things differently.
They
One
do.
might not slap you as hard as the other, but the end goal is still the same. And I think that is another misconception we have, where we think these two energies cannot work together. But
That goes back to the monotheistic. It's monotheism. It goes back to absolutes, absolute good, absolute evil. I know for a fact, because I have done it, I have worked it, I have experienced it, I have practiced it, that there are archangels that work really well with demons. They complement one another. They work great together.
Mistress B, what's your thoughts on this?
I haven't worked with angels or demons quite yet, but I have felt that spirit of complete neutrality. When I get a lot of my intuitive messages, it's it's delivered in a very matter of fact sense, and it's not always in my own voice. You know why how when you get something in the back of your head and it sounds strange because normally you hear all your thoughts in your own voice, but this one, for some reason, when I get something that I'm like, okay, I know it's this, and I know it's spirit, it's always delivered in a very neutral voice, even if it's joyous news. Like, I knew that my friend was having a baby girl, and I know that it's a 50-50 chance, but I knew it, and I saw her face, and she looked exactly like I thought, and I described her to a T when my friend was only 2 months pregnant. And normally you'd think that news like that would be delivered with a chorus and bells and lightning and all of that stuff, but it wasn't. It was just, this is this baby, this is what she looks like, here you go.
She's 100% right, because, and I'm going to tell you, because I have worked with the energy. You call it the energy, you call it a god, you can call it a Jotun, whatever. The energy called Loki, and he has delivered messages to me like that. Like she said, very matter of factly, without any kind of emotion or hoorah.
Another friend of mine, they've worked with Loki, and I guess he was in his trickster form, and actually she was channeling, and he showed up, and and he was pretty much just like challenging her a little bit. Oh, hello, Mr. Malice. Thank you for dropping in. Um, he was kind of challenging her, and she's stubborn, and it's like, no, I'm not going to let you control me. And of course, if he wanted to, he could just. Well, I can't snap my fingers, but you guys know what snapping sounds like. Like,
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
even joking. I legit. But
Oh.
but yeah, and I mean, he was having fun, and after that, I guess he had a little bit of respect for her, or whatever, because he would show up and work with her after that, and it was almost like, okay, you challenged me. You weren't gonna win, but you did something, and I appreciate that. You didn't just quit or give in. So, and I
That's how
think
Loki.
that's.
That's how Loki is. He likes to do that shit, man. I'm telling you, dude. He loves to test your metal, and I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me, he was very sexual, and I was completely fine with that. But
Yeah,
he
well,
will test your metal.
yeah, so that's really cool. And Angie has another question, and let's see. This is for you specifically, Ken. She asks, do some spirits, angels, or demons also complement spirits in your tribal practice?
In my personal tribal practice, yes. But again, I would never take that out to my tribal grounds. And I don't want to influence anyone out there. What happens at the Muskogee uh, spiritual tribal grounds is going to be Muskogee strictly. But in my personal life, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I have done. uh, yeah, I've done things that meld. Let's just say I've done things that meld quite well. There's some things about the Muskogee religion, and Muskogee medicine, and Muskogee traditions that should never be talked about or ever written down.
Gotcha. Well,
Sorry.
we'll keep some things secret. No, it's fine, because that just makes you more interested. And who knows? It might get people involved, and they want to learn more about the Muskogee. So that's a good thing. Or at least that's
But
how I try to do.
in my personal life, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I find that everything complements. I don't have any conflict working with these energies. Never really have. Yes, I've ran into spirits that want to be assholes. I've ran into demons. I've ran into people that's possessed by demons. You know, it doesn't. Maybe they are, you know, ancient tribal gods from 5, 10,000 years ago. But you got to remember these things, whether you call them ancient gods, dark gods, demons, you cannot put human morality on something that ancient and something that old. You can't do that shit.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of an essay here. This is from Jenny. Bear with me. And sorry, you guys are seeing the mouse cursor. I cannot figure out how to turn that freaking thing off, but eventually I will get professional and I will. But anyway, she says that in her situation, she's caught a billion EVPs. One specific EVP was Topeka. Only 100 Topekas ever recorded. Also means a good place to dig. Also, in just recent weeks, caught an EVP outside, and it blew my mind. I I heard people chanting as if there was a church a few trailers away on the EVP, clear as day. With this parasitic manifestation of depression and anger abuse, my son was scratched on his back.
Mm.
Been and then she goes on to say, my question is if the American Indian spirits may be calling out for them. Like Ken said, to heal, call out to the spirit of the land, always had feelings about the ground or under the house. Not sure if that's something I should try. So basically, should she try asking the spirits there for help or not?
Absolutely, 100%. And it's really simple to do. You just go out there and you talk to them. You offer them tobacco. You offer them tobacco just in the four directions. You just drop it with a prayer in the four directions clockwise, and and you also burn some tobacco, and you say those prayers to these spirits while you're burning that tobacco, and while that smoke rises, it descends, and it carries your prayers to these spirits. Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a super long prayer. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be something that's necessarily even that ritualistic. It can be as simple as talking to the spirits because you are the magic in your magic. They're going to understand. Their knowledge and wisdom transcends time and space and language and all ceremony. So you can just go out there and beseech them.
Yes. Doesn't have to, like she said, doesn't have to be lengthy or extravagant. Just from the heart.
Okay. So, can I share an experience with you guys that I would like your opinion on? Well, okay,
Okay.
I say experience. It's not really an experience, but some stuff that I would like your opinion on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So about 2 years ago now, I think, I actually had a dream. And the reason why this is significant is I don't dream, or at least I don't remember them. And in it, it was a pitch black room. Everything was dark, and I remember white lettering scrolling down, almost like like on a computer screen, and it said, well, it was a lot of words, but the only ones that I was able to see was bathed in light. And after that dream, the next day I had another dream, and it was like viewing myself from the third person, and it was a weird cone of white light or something like that that I was literally, covering me, and that just, it might be nothing, but do you guys think there's any significance there?
Of course there is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't give you an answer as to I can't translate it, you know. And real quick before Mistress B answers, because I want her to answer because she's bright and amazing. But dream interpretation, look, man, when it comes to dream interpretation, that shit is so hard to pinpoint. A lot of people say, oh, well, if you dream about that, it means this. If you dream about that, it is so different for each person. But yes, I will say that that is significant. I think it's holy. This is what's coming to me now. I think it's significant. I think it's holy. And I think you should pay attention.
I definitely agree. I think that if you get a message like this and you don't know what it means, that's the time when you start to dig deeper and you do a little more research. So there are so many different divination methods. You could do tarot, you could do candle burning,
I
you
got
can
the
do.
tarot. That's covered.
Yeah, there you go. So I would say do a tarot reading about it. And sometimes there are a lot of people that are like really into the layout and where you put your cards and that sort of things. Sometimes I don't even do that. I just keep pulling cards until I know what's going on, and it doesn't matter, what form they're in.
I'll tell you something else, Melvin. Drink a little bit of mugwort tea before you go to sleep, about 20 minutes before you go to sleep. Drink some mugwort tea. Mugwort will help induce dreams and give you very vivid dreams, and perhaps you can pull some answers from that. Also, burn a little mugwort. It's not going to hurt you to inhale a little bit of its smoke, as long as you're not lung sensitive to things like that. But drink that tea before you go to sleep.
Okay. Oh, and Angie just reminded me of something, so I have to bring this up too, or else she's gonna hit me over the head. Um, so a couple of weeks ago, for whatever reason, I was thinking about this stream again, and I asked her if she could scry and see if she could get a message for me. And sure enough, she got something, and the what she got was the. Are you familiar with the impossible triangle? The Penrose triangle.
I don't doesn't ring a bell for me. What about you,
Um,
girl?
Basically, it's a triangle that can't exist because of how it is, and it doesn't actually connect. It was created in the 1940s, 1950s, but it's very very cool looking. But she saw that thing, the impossible triangle, and after that she was getting flashes of white light. That seems to be the common denominator there, white. Um, she remembers that she saw a field of white poppies, and it kind of looked like a painting. And then she saw a white heron, the bird, and she kept saying, "Oh my gosh, it's amazing! It's so majestic." And it was something
Interesting.
about it that just stood out, a white heron, and it was just really beautiful for her.
White herring is one of the most sacred birds to the Muskogee Creek people, by the way.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah. I now it was she was scrying to interpret your dream. Is that what you're saying?
well, I asked her if she could get a message because
I think that's
she's
great.
starting to channel, and she was scrying to do that, to tap into whatever, and that's what came through. And she's like, "No, this was not for me because my stuff is lions and tigers. This was for you."
I think that is great. I think that is a magnificent way to interpret your dreams is for either you to scry yourself, especially if you have experience doing it, or have someone who has that experience, has that psychic ability to scry on your behalf. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I'm going to need Angie to scribe for me sometime because that is something I've always wanted to learn about.
you can order her services at the Witch's Broomstick. Link in the description. So, but let's actually talk about the various tools of divination and oh, you know what? Actually, before I get to that, I want to we'll get to that in a second. But I want to bring up this because Ken, you brought this up on a couple of your podcasts, and you know again when we talk about supernatural deities, sometimes people, of course, they'll say angels, demons, and that's about it. When in truth, it's elementals, it's nymphs,
Hmm.
it's fae, whatever the heck a wendigo is, not something I
Oh
would
man,
mess with personally.
no,
That
you
that
don't
can
want to mess with
stay.
that.
Yeah, but you have a jinn around you.
I do. Yes, yes, I have
Okay,
a
so
gin.
first, can you tell the folks that might not know what the heck a gin is, and
Okay,
why is
yeah.
why is Is it a he or a she? I don't know. Well, why is
Is
the
it-
Jinn around you?
I don't know why he's there, Melvin. I don't have a clue why he decided to come in my life, but I think it's very beneficial that he is there. It's a male. It's a male,
Okay.
and I know from memory that he's probably been with me since birth. Most jinn are, but I actually saw him once when I was 6 years old. I actually literally saw him. I used to have this imaginary friend. He wasn't imaginary. That was my jinn. That was the jinn that was with me. And so basically, a jinn is a non human spirit that is made of what's called smokeless fire. And my not just my theory, but a lot of people's theories on smokeless fire is some sort of a plasma based life form. Some people mix jinns and demons together. I don't believe they're the same thing. I never have. Um, the jinn are very like us. They live in communities. They have culture. They have dances. They have music. They have cities. Very parallel to our own uh, universe or reality. So he's dark. That's been confirmed. Okay. He is dark, but not necessarily evil. Again, not everything that is dark and scary is evil. It goes back to that.
Energy.
Yeah, it's energy. It goes back, right. It goes back to that absolutes. Nothing absolute could exist. Nothing absolute good, nothing absolute evil. Nothing can exist that way. That's such horse shit, man. But yes, go ahead,
you can
baby.
feel the jinn when you hang out with Ken. You can feel him. Ken has this feeling of heaviness. Like if you can feel other people's energies, they kind of float a little bit. There's a lightness, but Ken's has a density to it. Not necessarily a darkness or an evilness or any sort of malevolence. It's just very solid. Like there's something else holding him down, not necessarily holding him down, but like weighing him down, supporting him. Like he has a pillar to kind of stand on, and you can feel it, and it's intense.
Okay, that makes sense to me because.
But yeah, it's a non-human spirit. Not, and again, in my opinion, not to be confused with the demon, but you can read a lot about the jinn in the Islamic religion. So
Yeah.
does that help?
Yeah, I think so. There's one story that I know. It probably has half truths in it, but it was that God originally promised that. You can actually tie this to an alien thing as well. But God promised the jinn this world. They were supposed to inherit this world of man, but something happened, and instead man inherited it, and the jinn went to a parallel world. Basically, it's supposed to be on top of ours, but different
Mhm.
dimension type of thing. And some of the jinn don't like that, and they get even with men in the form of wishes, because genies are jinn
The jinn,
genies,
right?
the
They're
same
the
thing.
same thing. Yeah.
And they get back at man by saying, "Oh yes, I'll give you whatever wish you want. You helped me, blah blah blah." And you'll get the wish, but it's always corrupted, and that's their way of getting
Right.
back at you, because that wish, you'll get exactly what you want, just never in the way you expected or the way you wanted.
And a lot of people think that the same thing can happen when you work with
Sweet pea candle.
demons. When you work with demons, when you work with goetic spirits. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. But there are very dark jinn out there. There are jinn that will hurt people. There are jinn that can cause spontaneous combustion in a human being. So,
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
think you're somewhere in that proximity, you get the hell away from there.
yeah, I'm sure our instincts would take over. It's like, something doesn't feel right. Unless you're a
Exactly.
paranormal investigator, then it's like, yes, come on. So, um, But yeah, let's go to a little bit of divination and the tools that are used. And Mistress B, you said you perform and practice tarot. Oh, and by the way, Angie says that you can definitely try something together. She too is still a baby witch, and it'll be lovely to test out some things with a fellow baby witch.
That would be great. I'm looking forward to it.
So, but yeah, so you practice tarot and everything, and how do you go about that? What's your style of tarot?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily have a style per se. Pretty much everything I do has a little bit of chaos to it. So I like to start and I ground myself. And when I'm reading for other people specifically, I have them send me photos of things that are really, really important to them. And essentially, what I'm trying to do is I explain it like I'm tuning a radio station. Like I'm just a walkie talkie and I have to find the right radio station to be on their wavelength because I'm trying to receive their message and not my message. So I clear everything of myself away. I attune to their energy and I ask the spirit for their message depending on what it might be. And the way that I go about it is I lay all my cards out. I take extensive notes and I'm always referring back to all of my books, even though I've done tarot for years. I always refer back and I pull out keywords and I read all the descriptions and then I sit there and I meditate on that message a little bit and form it into something cohesive. And sometimes what I start thinking the message is and what the end message is something completely different. I've had several times where the cards will say something and I think that it's something, but as I sit there, something takes over and I get their message loud and clear and it's something that is so personal to them and it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, plus since you are intuitive and an empath, you're taking on that extra energy as well, so you're getting a double whammy there. Um, but you know, do you use other tools as well, like pendulums or dowsing rods or something like that?
I just got a pendulum for my birthday actually, so I'm going to start using that and I really want a set of dowsing rods. So if anybody wants to send me a set, feel free to.
Um, Talk to Angie. She might hook you up. Um, but that what what is it, a crystal pendulum or is it a metal
It's crystal.
crystal? Oh, what crystal?
I think it's tourmaline.
Hmm.
Tourmaline. Okay. And I think tourmaline also helps like keep negative energy out, right? Is that right, Ken?
Yes, it is. That's correct. Absolutely.
Look at
It can
me.
absorb
I'm
a
so
lot.
smart.
I mean, it can absorb it, baby, and keep on absorbing it. Absolutely.
Right on. And Ken, what about some of the tools that you use for divination?
So my primary method is usually the runes. Although, yes, the runes are used for divination, but they are primarily used for magical change, inward and outward magical change on your environment. But yes, it's the runes is what I mostly use. And I hardly ever use divination for myself unless I have some serious spell work I need to do. And that reason is because I just don't want to freaking know, man. I just don't want to know. So I will do divination using the runes for other people or for myself if the spell work is going to be very serious, very intense, and I just really need to know. But other than that, I don't want to fucking know.
You know, two things. I'm happy you mentioned runes because we're going to get on that, and I have to again bring up Angie because like if it weren't for Angie, Unexplained Possibilities would have probably imploded by now. And she has made her own runes, and oh my god, like you guys have no idea how handy she is. She made my little pendulum board here, and I mean it's amazing.
Very nice.
And she she made her own runes and they work, and it's very interesting the process on how she did it. It was almost like she took on an energy that wasn't hers per se.
Mhm.
And it leads me to this with, oh, and what was the second thing? It was something else. Oh well, whatever. It was important. Um, the it leads me to this because runes are made from some wood, some rock, and it absorbs this energy. Is it in a weird way possible that they do take on a type of life of their own?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe they are at least semi-sentient, 100%.
Oh yeah, tarot decks are the same way. I have one tarot deck that absolutely hates me. I cannot read from it at all. And
What
I
deck is
have
Oh,
I
this?
have
I know which one you're
it's
talking about. Give it to me.
absolutely it's a Santeria deck and I love it.
I'll
It's
take it.
beautiful, but it will not read for me. I don't know what it is, but the instant I picked it up, I just got a negative energy, and it doesn't matter how many times I've tried to bond with it, because they take on
Hmm.
their own energy and they have their own life force. And so just like cultivating a friendship, you spend time with your deck. I've even slept with decks under my pillow, but I've done everything, and this deck hates me.
Yeah, I've created my rooms with my own blood. Like I mean, it took a lot of fingers, pricking, but I actually bloodied. I carved my own runes, and then I redded them or made them red or put my blood into them. And then once I had I used the 24 Elder Futhark, and once I had them all, I just blew on them 3 times to wake them up to give them life.
Yeah, you're breathing life into them, which is interesting. You give them your blood,
Hmm.
and give them
So
that air. So
why wouldn't they be
so
semi-sentient? Of course
yeah,
they would
well,
be.
it's almost an extension of yourself at that point too. Then.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go to a pagan festival back in 2011, 2012. First time I ever been on a damn airplane. All right, I didn't know shit about no airplane, but I had to leave from here to Virginia. So I created a bind rune that basically um, was like a prayer asking the Valkyries to give me their protection while I flew. All right. It did its thing, but the rune was spent. When I got home, the rune was done. So I did almost like a mini funeral, and then I burnt the rune and dispersed its energy.
Oh, that's a
And
good
the
one.
same thing will happen a lot with crystals. If you ever have a crystal break, it's because that crystal's energy has been spent.
It's done. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys just taught me something completely new. I had no idea, and I need to turn my phone down because I know I'm going to get a text soon. And oh, my camera just went out. Brilliant. Let me try and fix that because I hit the wire. God darn it. Um, so technical difficulties continue. Yay! Give me 1 second. Um, so with with the runes though, what are they used for? What are the different things you can use them for?
So the runes are primarily, for me, divination is secondary, primarily used for magical change on your environment,
think that it's perfect.
Interesting. Yes.
There we go.
Hello.
I am so sorry. Oh, now the camera settings have changed and everything. I am so sorry. Um, okay, we're back. I'm sorry. um, yeah, we're back. Hello.
We,
Let me
we can
fix.
see you and
Well,
we can hear you.
yeah. Um, there we go. All right. So yeah, we had a major malfunction meltdown. It was pretty bad. Um, but okay, we're back. So sorry. Let's continue on. So, you said something about blood runes or blood. What was that?
Oh, what was I? Oh, before, yeah, I was blooding the runes, putting my blood onto the runes. When I carve them, I put my blood onto them, and then I blow on them to wake them up. We were also talking about blood scrying.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard that or not. It's basically you take a small shot glass and fill it up with water, and then you poke yourself really good, not one of them little baby pokes like, ooh, you poke that shit good, baby, poke
Oh,
it good, and then you let that blood, you just squeeze the hell out of it, and if it hurts, that's good. That's a good thing. All right, you want it to hurt a little bit because that's what activates it. But you watch that blood, how it moves in that water and how it takes shape, and you can divine by its shape in that water. That's blood scrying.
oh wow. I mean, it kind of sounds like a kink, but I get it.
A
It
lot of
can
magic
be.
is pretty kinky in and of itself.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, you can make anything kinky.
okay, so Angie, she said that you guys keep mentioning prayers. Do you create your own prayers, or can it be whatever, just a dialogue between you and whatever you're trying to communicate with?
Yes. Yes. You can create your own prayers. You can use traditional prayers from whatever culture. You can take those traditional prayers from whatever culture and you can add to that. But yes, if it's from the heart, I don't see anything wrong with it. What about you, girl?
No, like I always say, you're the magic in your magic. It's the authenticity less than the ceremony that's
Hmm.
important, because it's like it would be like a shotgun wedding. You can say the vows and you can go through the wedding, but if your heart isn't in it, the marriage is going to crumble.
Yep.
Yeah, so well, we don't want that, especially if it's a shotgun wedding. Good lord.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of powerful prayers out there that stood the test of time. Whether it's Egyptian, Catholic, Sumerian, the Psalms. I've worked with the Psalms, and the Psalms in the Bible. Some of the most powerful things you can utilize in magic, in hoodoo, in any folk magic, even European folk magic. But your prayers from the heart are just fine. They're absolutely fine.
Yeah, I like to think that maybe it's not so much the words, but it's the energy and the belief, kind of like what Mistress B just said, and that's what empowers it. Because like I'm not Catholic or Christian. If I step foot in the church, I'd burn up. But the Lord's Prayer is something that is so well known, and
Hmm.
it has so much power in it because there are a lot of people that believe in that divine protection from it, and I think that that's what gives it its power. But
That's right.
but again, me being Mr. I am a god, I'm like, pray to me, like, man, I'm gonna.
No,
So,
no, I
are
agree with
you
that.
kidding me? The sound's gone. Wait, I'm sorry. I just saw that. Nope. Okay. So, okay. Never mind. It looks like it's back. So, all right.
No, I agree with that. It's the same way, not with just the Lord's Prayer, but with the Hail Mary and all. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And Mr. Malice has a question, and he would like to know where each one of you think or believe the driving force of magic comes from.
That is a great question. I think that, yeah, okay, so it's like the Force, right? Seriously, I don't want to sound corny and shit, but it's like the Force. Star Wars. That's what magic is. That's what it is. It's like that. It's like the Force. It is everywhere. It is everything. It's just manipulating it on a subatomic level. And there are so many damn techniques to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think spirit was there before any of us were and will be there long after, kind of like an underground river, you know. It's just up to us to get to it, and some people build wells, some people build dams, some people don't know what's under there at all, but once you get a taste of it, you're going to want to keep going.
Yeah, I'll take it a step further, and I will say that because this kind of reminds me of a little story I wrote, but I will say that magic is energy, energy is magic, and it is all around us. But how do you manipulate it? How do you break the barriers to say you can't do this or it's impossible and all that? You know, it's a mind over matter type of thing, and I think our willpower is what uses that energy to influence, to create, to bring, to take, and work, quote unquote, magic. So I think it's an energy that is already here. It has been here. We feed it, it feeds us. And you just have to have that willpower, that concentration to manipulate it and literally bend it to your will, and use it as a tool if you want.
Yes, your will alone can do magnificent, amazing things, and your will alone can tap into that magical, that energy source. You don't always have to call on spirits or gods, whatever. You don't have to work with any of that stuff if you don't want to. So it's all energy anyway. So just use your will. Absolutely, I've done that 100 times.
Yeah,
Works. It's
but
great. I've manifested some of the money, five, six, $700. I've manifested just with my will alone using good old fashioned Southern hoodoo, baby.
nothing wrong with that. Um, Speaking of hoodoo, well, actually, this is more so voodoo than hoodoo. For those who don't know, the easiest and best way to put it: voodoo, religion; hoodoo, magic. But voodoo, you can also use the magic mixed with the religion, but hoodoo is primarily strictly the magic. Um, but in voodoo, I love voodoo. I love researching it. I love the stories involved with it. One of the things I just truly love about it is you work with ancestral spirits, our ancestors. It's not
Hmm.
someone from a different dimension. It's not someone from
Right.
outer space. It's our ancestral spirits. And Ken, since you are a voodoo practitioner, how does that feel? Like that you're working with people who once walked this planet, who have seen things that aren't even here anymore.
Dude,
What is that like?
it is an amazing, absolutely amazing, glorious feeling because when I walk into my temple and I start singing these songs and I start pouring that, you know, whether I'm using gin, whatever I'm using, making those offerings, and I'm drawing those veves, whether I'm using cornmeal or cascarilla or whatever, man, you feel like there's a thousand spirits around you, and they're just watching you, and they're just waiting, and they're waiting to see what you're going to do, and they're waiting for that loa to come through the door that Papa Legba opens. It's intense as hell, dude. It's so much passion, so much power, and it'll give you goosebumps too.
Yeah,
It's a bit of a rush.
walking into Ken's temple feels like walking into a coliseum. You can feel the energy around you. It feels like being a gladiator. Like everybody is on the edge of their seat waiting to see what you're going to do.
Um, and Mr. Malice, he wanted to say that he would love to be here with us, and there's so many things he would like to share, and he liked all the answers and agreed with a combination of all of them. And Jenny says, Mistress B, you are so well spoken and so young, and have the intuition and empath. I don't know what you're trying to say there, but and empathetic technique. I guess she's
Mhm.
praising you. Hi, sweet pea. All right, bye, sweet pea. Freaking cat. Um, and Ken, Jenny is saying thank you for guiding her, and both of you are truly educated and have so much knowledge. Thank you for sharing.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
100%.
So yeah, that's so cool with the voodoo though. I mean, I
It's
can't
beautiful.
really imagine. So it is. That's probably the one thing I would not mind experiencing, but just to chat with Papa Legba or, uh, well, maybe not Baron Samedi, but
No,
Papa
no, let me tell you,
Gide. I would prefer.
I've worked with Balance someday, and he is fantastic. He is great, man. He actually
Oh
helped
yeah.
me pull a demon out of a woman one time.
Okay, you see, I always thought he preferred working with the dead, and Papa Gide preferred the living. So, okay,
I mean,
so
when I worked with him, it's been for healing people locally, healing people at a distance, and for pulling demons out of people.
oh, you guys want to hear a story real quick? And
Sure.
and I haven't told this in a good while. This will be the first time I actually ever told it on Unexplained too, and I would like your opinions on this as well. This involves a friend of mine from a few years back now, and I was telling him about voodoo and Baron Samedi in particular, and I was telling him about the Gide family, how they understand that there's more after death. You know, like death is not the end. Maybe the physical end, but it's not the end. And they like living it up. They have fun. They get it.
Yeah.
And he was really taken in by that. And this is where it gets trippy. One night, yeah, the night after I was telling him about this stuff, he somehow had purple, gold, and white candles. And him and his wife, they were smoking some weed. They had alcohol, and it was like, huh, in a weird way, you're kind of giving an
That's right.
offering here. And well, they got it on. They got freaky out of nowhere. And he said that he woke up and he saw a face, and it was like it was a black guy, but skeletal or something like that. And it was like, what the heck was that? And it kind of freaked him out. And he said it felt heavy, but it was just weird. And the next day he goes to work, and some woman is like, oh my gosh, I saw Baron Samedi. And it was like, what? Who? And she used the computer to show what she saw out of nowhere, and it's the same guy that he saw and the person that I was telling him about the day before. It's like, what the heck? Can you explain that?
Uh,
Names have power.
Absolutely. And having the marijuana there, having the drinks and the sex, the get it, they all about that. They're all about that, man. The hot peppers, the rum, the sex, the cussing, the colorful metaphor. They love all that shit, man. So yeah, yeah. I really like working with them. That's primarily the only law I work with. Legba and the Getty.
Okay, so now we won't go too deep into this because I do try to keep things happy and fun because, I try to be happy and fun even though I'm just bleh. Um, but if you were, if someone crossed you, would
Hmm,
you ask for help from Marinette Boache or
I
Marinette
would.
of the Dry Bones?
I know you mean. Yeah, I absolutely would. I would have no problem doing that. She probably wouldn't be my first. The first thing actually the first thing I would do is probably not go to anyone. Like we talked about earlier, use my will alone, use my emotion, my anger, hate if I have it, to feed my emotion because emotion is a big deal in magic. Whether you're happy, sad, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to curse somebody. I'm mustering up this hatred and this anger, and I'm using that. It doesn't matter if I'm just writing it down and burning it, you know, in a flame, or carving it into a candle, or putting the candle in dog shit with their name written on the candle, whatever. That's the first thing I would do before I'd go to a outside entity. Was that too much?
No, no, it makes sense to me. No, I get it. Like sometimes you got to knuckle up yourself first. So I get you.
Yeah, man. I mean, but I'm not gonna wantonly just start
Yeah.
cursing somebody.
No,
I
I
I think
usually you have
blessings
to have a
and
good
cursing,
reason.
they're both important, and they're both equally valid because you can curse a disease too. that's inside somebody's body to destroy it.
I'm gonna have to remember that one. Okay, so Angie has another question, and she said that she'd like to hear your opinion on this. Sometimes when she meditates or dreams, she can hear voices, although they're being said in languages she does not recognize. Have either of you experienced something similar?
Go ahead,
I
Lily.
haven't with dreams or meditation, but I have in real life. I had an instance where I had a woman speaking Tagalog to me, and I understood her perfectly. But I think that if she's having these dreams in other languages, it may be a variety of things. It may be an entity trying to speak to her, or it may be her own ancestors, because our ancestors span all over the globe, especially the farther back you go. So it may be one of her ancestors trying to give her a message. So I think that doing a little bit of divination would really be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a Lakota word, Matakliasan. Matakliasan means all my relations. Essentially, we are all related. We are all literally related, not just to each other, but to the grass and to the trees and to the animals and to the sky and to the ocean. Matakliasan, all my relations. So, absolutely, of course, that could be her ancestors or the spirits of a place or whatever talking to her. Sure.
Now, I don't know if you guys would have experienced this or not, but you know when you're at that state of you're not asleep but you're not quite awake, and I would actually hear like a party going on or something. All these, like, I don't know. I guess you could say voices, but it sounded busy. Have you guys ever had that one?
That is a powerful place to be, baby. A powerful
Mm-hmm.
place to be. Now, I ain't never experienced no party, all right, which is probably unfortunate, but I have experienced some pretty intense things, uh, audible, as well as visual,
Mm,
in that state, or at least in my mind, I saw it.
yeah.
So,
It's a thinning of the veil. It's
absolutely,
it's a point in your living life where you're almost as close to death as you can be naturally.
there is a portal being created in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some of the most amazing and unique answers come to me while in that state of being.
And it makes sense too. The reason why we yawn actually is because as our heart rates slow down and our bodies start to relax, our brain sends this warning signal because it feels like we're dying as our heart rate slows down. So we immediately intake oxygen because our brain thinks that we're dying. And
Mhm.
so even the physiological side of it is a feeling of being close to death.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
again, you taught me something new. You guys need a TV show. Like, no joke. Um, but yeah, and Ken, I'm sorry you haven't had a party. I get the parties. Everyone seems to be having a good time. Just,
Now, baby, I partied enough in my 20s. I don't need no more partying. Woo.
but yeah, it's so weird, but it's very interesting. And I don't know. I can't explain it, but I am going to jump to this, and this is kind of out the blue, not a good segue, but that's all right. Aliens, believers, non-believers, want to believe. Where do we stand, Mistress B? Go.
I definitely I want to believe, but also I wish that I didn't want to believe. There's a lot out there that we don't understand and that we don't know, and it makes me a little bit nervous, especially because in popular media, aliens are always portrayed as, they're going to come over and take things over. And we just don't know, especially, just thinking about how people treat other people. How are non human entities going to treat us? So it's something that I've definitely been interested in and I can see the possibility of, but it does scare me that that possibility is true.
Yeah, and we lost Ken. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. Um,
Oh, I'm sure.
let's see. Well, the well, number one, you're smart. So I'll say that. It's like, well, uh, but being that I started off with on the alien side of things. I like to think that I know a little bit, but not really. And oftentimes it is a fear of the unknown, and it's like, oh my gosh, something from a whole different planet, from far, far away, is coming here. And yeah, there is that real fear of they can possibly take over, and part of that is just stories. You don't have to really worry about that, because I like saying this: if they wanted to take over, they can take over.
And
I
that's
mean,
what that's what keeps me calm, is that if they wanted to do it, they would have done it already.
yeah, if they wanted to take over, they can definitely take over. Welcome back, Ken.
Hey, thank you. I don't know what happened.
uh, Mercury in retrograde. That's just gonna
Yeah.
get all the blame. That's Mercury's a prick. What else
Yeah.
can I say?
Yeah. Yeah, he is. So we're talking about aliens, right? Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, I love the X-Files. One of my favorite shows ever. I mean, what is it? Roughly 10 seasons at
11
25,
seasons.
11 seasons, 25 episodes for what, 10 of those seasons? Something
Yeah,
like that?
it's total 220. I literally just rewatched every season.
You did.
So it's
Wow.
like 210, 215 episodes or something like that.
Amazing show. But yes, I absolutely believe in alien intelligences, alien forces that's not indigenous to this planet. Absolutely, 100%.
Now,
Yeah.
this is where sometimes people get a little shook up, and I'm trying to distinguish a little bit. I mean, it's literally impossible with our current technology and where we're at right now, but you have, and this could go for spirits as well, because I would say the spirits are technically interdimensional.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, in some ways, yeah, I guess you could say they're interdimensional aliens, but that's we'll get there in a second. But we have extraterrestrials, and then you have higher up extraterrestrials. So they could be from a higher dimension. Think Pleiadians or
Right.
Arcturians. They're supposed to be spiritual beings, and they are past our physical level. But then you have those that share the same reality with us, such as Greys or reptilians. And
Hmm.
fun fact for you guys: for whatever reason, North America, we have the most sightings of Greys first, and then reptilians are second. Whereas the rest of the world, they get more human-looking ETs. So
Interesting.
that makes
Is
me
it?
think that the world is actually divided into
Yeah.
little districts.
I was going to say, is it because we're assholes or something? I mean, yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, we have them, and then you have the true interdimensional beings, and I'm not talking about ones that are
Hmm.
from this universe. They're from an
Hmm.
entirely different universe that we can't possibly begin to understand. And it's hard to distinguish between the two, because occult things won't necessarily work on them. It's different rules for a different game. And I guess what I'm getting at is, why do you think they come here, whether they be extraterrestrial or multiversal?
I don't know why the hell they want to mess with us. I don't know what the hell's so special about us. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with our evolution down the line. Maybe they're not even from all these outside places. Maybe they're us from the future or something like that. I don't know.
That
You
is
know.
one story with the Zeta Grays. It said that we messed up this planet so badly that they figured out time travel, and they've come back in time to fix wrongs. And if we don't fix it, they're just gonna kill us. Uh, one particular. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mistress B. That doesn't help your nerves.
No, it doesn't. But I mean,
But
it makes sense on so many levels that
Hmm.
at the basis of it, they're coming here for some sort of academic reason to study us, to learn from our mistakes, to stop our mistakes, something like that. I think that at the basis of it all, there's some sort of seeking of knowledge.
Yeah, they're coming here. They have. You can guarantee they have good reason for
yeah,
coming here.
and then
Now, yeah, well, something I wanted to bring up real quick is um, I have heard from multiple people, particularly with regards to the Greys, that for some reason, when you invoke the name of Jesus Christ and you mean it with sincerity and faith, the Greys just disappear. They get the hell out of there. They haul ass. They run. They leave. They're gone.
I've heard that, but the thing is, the people I've spoken to, they said that didn't work for them, and they were still taken or whatever. So, it might not necessarily be Greys. It might be a shapeshifter of some sort.
Yeah.
Um, but I do know that because they totally they understand us. They are very very what's the word, intuitive and psychic, and they can read us like nothing. And where was I going with this? Oh, so sometimes if they do sense fear, if they know it's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have a heart attack, then they will leave. They will leave. So that could be a possibility as to why they vanish, because the benevolent ones, I'll say, they aren't here to harm us. There is the theory of the hybrid program, and that's for another episode. But there is that theory, and like I said to Mistress B, if they really wanted to do something, they would do it. But this is where things get more interesting, because they come to certain people, and
Yeah.
the reason for that, or at least from what my research has found, is bloodline and ancestral contracts. Meaning that if you have a particular bloodline, you are more likely to be visited because your ancestors signed some type of contract with them way back. Oh, excuse me. Way back when.
Like some Anunnaki stuff, right?
Yep. And
I've
and it's you're fulfilling the contract. And then I heard something else that said that you, before you were physically born in this world, you made a deal with them and said yes, you could come and visit or whatever, but you don't recall it. um, I don't know how true that is, but it's something, that
I've heard things similar to that before. Also, yeah, I have. I don't know. I just think that okay. So for me, the occult is a science. It is absolutely a science. Um, so why could not the occult? I mean, has anybody ever really truly tried? I am currently involved with something right now where I am doing that. That's all I'm going to say. But why, since the occult is a type of science, people can laugh and scoff or whatever, but why would not occult methods, heavy occult methods, not used on entities such as this? I believe that they will, they can, they do, at least to some degree. And I know, based on what I have going on right now, me and Melvin, we talked about this privately. Based on some of the stuff I did, I got these beings extremely confused. They were confused like rats running around in a round cage. I know that for a fact.
yeah. I think it's about finding the right frequency. because we all
Yes.
work on vibrations and energy, and you just got to find the right dot. You got to. Oh gosh, people don't know what dials are anymore. Just keep hitting the button, and something will happen. There you go.
Dials. Keep turning the dial. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that just hit me. They don't know that. Oh, mess with the antennas. Get some foil. Go ahead and
Stand on the roof.
Those were the good old days.
so. But yeah, so I think it's about finding the right frequency and dealing with it because again, it well now, but that's just me speaking mostly on the interdimensional ones because I think there's some relation to what we call spirits. I mean, I think it's something there. The ones that are more physical, I have no idea. I don't know. Shotgun? I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
have no clue.
Yeah. I don't have much experience with actual physical aliens, but I strongly believe that what I am, the case that I'm working on now is interdimensional. I don't believe they are indigenous to this planet, but I still believe they are a type of spiritual life form. I
Yeah,
don't believe they're physical.
now, and this is where you kind of want to find out if they are. Oh boy, I'm getting ready to confuse a lot of people, myself included, most likely. But if you could figure out if they are dimensional, but from this universe versus a different universe, I bet you that will make all the difference. Because I try to see it like this. Most people think of dimensions as going up and down.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
higher, lower vibrational entities, lower dimension, higher from higher dimension. But let's take that and go further and go side by side
That's
and
how I
go
see it.
around. And,
That's how I
you
see
know,
it.
yeah. And so are you from this planet, but just a different portion of this planet that we can't necessarily connect to? Or are
Hmm.
you literally from an entire different universe? And if you are from an entirely different universe, are you from a higher dimension from that universe? You know.
Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying, and that's how I see it. I don't see it as being stacked. I see it as being like that, or maybe some sort of a cluster. Yes,
Yeah, so I
I,
mean
I
it's
don't know what these things that I'm dealing with, that I'm involved with helping out with, are exactly. The individual believes that they are alien. I believe that they are alien to this reality, but that they are a spirit of some sort from a different reality. Oh,
yeah, I mean it gets confused. It could be a headache. Um it could be a giant headache.
yeah.
So, but Mistress B, you're like, no, I'm checking out of this. I'm not dealing with them.
Yeah, that's one of the things where there's so much that you don't know and there's so much that you could theorize on, and the more and more you dig into it, the more you don't know.
Essentially. And this makes me wonder because Ken, you've mentioned this place several times, Stardust Ranch.
Oh, yes, I have.
You want to go there?
I do want to go there.
Will you take Mistress B there with you?
Absolutely, 100%. You damn
All right.
Skippy.
So that brings me to: are there places you'd just like to go? Maybe not for an investigation, but just to feel what is there and try and understand it and maybe have a type of spiritual awakening.
Yes. Iceland, Stone Age, Stonehenge, Iceland, places like that. I would love to go to the plains of Siberia to experience that open and vastness of Siberia, just to see how really small I am, baby. The Grand Canyon, yeah, absolutely. Not just for any kind of investigation or epiphanies. It doesn't have to be magical. It doesn't even have to be spiritual. Just to be there. It's going to be spiritual anyway, whether you want it to or not. At least for me, I'm sure it will be. It has to be. How could it not be?
What about you, Mistress B?
I really like ruins, so I'd love to go to the Mayan or the Incan ruins, especially those that had like human sacrifice. I want to just feel everything that the earth and the stones have soaked up. I'd also really love to go to the pyramids in Egypt. Tombs fascinate the hell out of me, just being a forensic anthropologist, but I think that there's so much history just stuffed in there that I want to be able to experience it for myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had a friend who went to the pyramids of Giza, and he said that he came out feeling different. He was energized. He felt just different. Like he felt the world. So whatever's happening over there is powerful. And
Hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think it's you could say that about any ancient place because they knew something that we clearly don't know. And it draws that universal energy into you and you just it changes you. Um so yeah, I definitely I can see that. We're gonna start wrapping it up. Um, but let's see, Mistress B, since you are still new-ish, I'm not gonna say you're new. You're newish. You took your freaking steps. Darn it, you're a witch. All right. Um, what what do you do for protection? How do you protect yourself?
I don't do a lot of work with anything negative as of yet, so I don't have a whole lot of need for anything super, super heavy. But being an empath, I do have to kind of enclose myself in a little bit of a bubble, and it has to be something so that everybody else's emotions don't just overtake me and overwhelm me because they will. So I've put up sort of like a glass ball that has little like plugs in it so that when I need to and when I feel comfortable and when I feel able to, I can pull a plug and take on the emotions of somebody. And when I can't, I plug it right back up. I also always carry a jet stone with me. It's one of the most powerful stones that I've ever held in my life. And it's petrified wood and it's ridiculously lightweight and it doesn't look lightweight. You can get a huge chunk of it and it feels like nothing at all. And I think that that resonates with me so much. And the cool thing about Jetstone is that it'll absorb and absorb and absorb. You never have to charge it, you never have to clear it, you never have to cleanse it. It won't break. It'll just keep absorbing. So that's something that I carry with me all the time.
Wow, that is powerful. Ken, what about you? I have a feeling you just have everything set up. If it tries to mess with you, it's in
Well,
for a
I
bad
mean,
time.
just because, I mean, I have been doing it a long time. All right. And, I'm 45 and I've been doing it a long time. And yeah, I got a shit ton of tools, but, the more I have advanced in doing this and the more I have learned and the more evolved I've become, I don't use as many tools as I used to. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody because of that. I just don't. I use a lot of verbal incantations and prayers and stuff like that to protect myself. The lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, is one of my favorites. I can do it in just 2 minutes. I can take my time with it, or I can do it very quickly, or I can just do it in my head. And without any physical movement, I can do the whole thing in my head, and I'm good to go. I'm good to go. But
Okay.
I don't know. I think for anybody, the more you practice and the more you do, you'll get to a point where you don't need as many tools. Some people don't need no tools at all. Period.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're just kind of oblivious.
But
Actually, that's
it's
probably
it's it's cool to have shit though. That's fun.
no, that's probably my little thing. I'm so oblivious. It's just like, man, he's not worth the time. He won't notice. So that's probably what saves my butt, especially
There's
speaking to people when I
no,
speak to them.
with a lot of this stuff, dude, there's no one right way to do any of it, even in ceremonial magic. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you absolutely have to do this while, the sun is in the house of this and while the moon is doing that, and why your little toe has sex with your big toe. That's bullshit, dude. Don't listen to that. Do your thing, baby. The spirits will talk to you, and so will your own heart.
Okay, and here's one. I think we're gonna end it on this one. Mistress B, we'll start with you because ladies first. Um, through through your journey, especially now that you're getting into the thick of it, would you change anything about it? Would you start sooner? Would you start differently? Would you change anything about your journey so far?
I think that off the cuff, I would say I would have liked to have started sooner, but I think that it all happened in divine timing. Everything happened the way that it needed to happen to put me in the places that I needed to be, to meet the people that I met, to be the person that I was, to be able to receive all of these messages. I think that, yeah, it would have been nice to have started earlier, but it would have come with its own challenges, and I wouldn't have made a lot of the connections that I have, and I wouldn't have grown at the same rate, and I might not be on the same path. So I'm pretty happy with my path. And that's the other thing about it, is that it's not something that is stagnant. It's something that's growing and changing as I grow and change. So I know that where I start doesn't necessarily have any bearing on where I finish.
Ken, same question.
Um, I don't know. When you start talking about changing this or doing this differently, you change one little thing in your life, and you could change so much. You could screw up missing out on meeting certain people. Everything makes a difference. Everyone influences everyone in some way, shape, or form. That woman running down the street wearing ugly shoes is influencing you in some way. Okay? Does that make sense, or does that sound really fucking stupid?
No, it makes sense.
All
Because
right.
they, I'll say this. I'll go back to time travel, for instance. They say that one little thing, if you're able to go back in time, that you change, alters the future, no matter how big or small that change is. So, but the funny thing is this: the person who goes back in time will never be able to get to their proper present because they changed it, and that present isn't necessarily erased, but it creates a split timeline, and a new present is created that the time traveler is now stuck in. And in a strange way, changing anything or attempting to doesn't change anything.
Oh, Lord Jesus, Melvin, we can't get into all that now, baby.
Well, I'm just saying. Just saying.
No, no, no.
It's
No,
something to think about.
but yeah, I feel like her. It's like, okay, Mistress B, if she had started sooner, we might not have ever met.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm happy the way things have unfolded for me. I don't think I would have changed anything. It's been a good ride. It's been great. Meeting her, meeting you, meeting Teresa and Jean Jerome from Ancestral. I mean, everyone I have ever met, there is a reason, there is a purpose, and all of these reasons and purposes are being fulfilled, and I'm living to see it happen. And that's a miracle and amazing, and it's a privilege to me.
Right on. And yeah, that's a good spot to end it. So, the Wizard's Table, darn it, where can we find this thing? Because I like it. But, and I guess I suppose I should be the one saying, go here and check it out. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be lazy. You do it. Where can we find the Wizard's Table?
You can find us on Facebook at The Wizard's Table. You can find us on YouTube at The Wizard's Table. You can also tune into RU Media, which is the network that we operate under, and you can find us there as well.
And those links are in the description. Yay, I did something right. I put them in early.
You did really good. I
So,
really enjoyed being on here. Thank you so much.
no, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. Um, and thank you all for watching. And I'm going to switch screens so you guys don't see me reading my little thing here. So, and there we go. Okay. Thank you all for joining and watching. Be sure to check out the Witch's Broomstick. There you can book tarot readings with either myself or Angie K. And also, you can purchase custom made candles or oils for your magical and spiritual needs. While the Witch's Broomstick is still young and growing, we do aim to be the go to #1 shop in the future. So hop on your broomstick and ride along with us on this journey. Ah, I butchered it. I'm going to have to edit that. No! Oh well. Also, be sure to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. And those links can be found in the description below. And with that all said, remember guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them hi.